The fact is that all these type of actors will have to intervene. The government agencies, the industry, the confederations, and so on, all the international banks, universities, research centers, and development banks. If they are not all included in the national content strategy, you will be failing there. Finally, some words about the funds. We have numerous type of funds, not all of them exactly directed to the oil industry, but what we have is, since we are an oil-rich country, most of the money is paid through taxes, and then those taxes are paid to every state. That means every region and every municipality. So we have, first of all these federal transfers in the contribution, plus additional transfers in the oil incomes. For example, now the price of oil is increasing. There's going to be additional incomes in the country. There's already rules of how that money will go partially to a fund for the next years when the cows are weak, but part of the money will go immediately for the municipalities. There's also other type of transfers. We have had a lot of transfers from Pemex to the communities. That's not always good, because it creates client relationships. So we are trying kind of not to continue in that way, but that continues to happen. So that's something that local politicians like a lot, to have a source for financing things that are needed locally. So something to think about. But what we are going much more is into the large, Banobras is the public financing for small, for large infrastructure. CONACYT is the public financing for research and development, and NAFIN is for the small companies. So all of them have a concerted strategy. Finally, some words about Norway. What I want to show here is that they are the champions concerning all the funds and how do they use them. And here is an overview in the different phases of the oil industry. Now, you might be here at the research and the idea phase, and you might be going quickly into the development phase. As you can see, most of the funds happen at the very beginning. And they are, here they call this one business angel, establishment grants, research funds, research innovation, commercializing research and development, and taxation credits. And so on, they continue all the way. They have funds that don't come from the European Union since they are not members, but they have created very large investment plans as well. This overview, I hope that has been of use to you, and I, of course, am here available to talk about the details of any of these aspects of the presentation. What I think is you have a wonderful opportunity here in Basilicata, so I hope that you use it. Thank you very much.
Molto interessante, complimenti. Ricordo 200 miliardi di dollari di investimento della Pemex, Petroleum of Mexico, contro questi qua in Basilicata da 1-2 miliardi di euro. C'è qualche domanda? Perché adesso dovremo fare un po' di dibattito, se possiamo, prima di pranzare. Lì abbiamo il microfono, sì.
Alberto Pelliccia, Shell Italia. I have a question for Mr. Estrada. I'm interested to understand a bit more regarding your regulatory system. In particular, do you have just one regulator which is in charge to give the final authorization for the project, or at least which gather possibly opinion from other small regulators and then give the final authorization? Or you have several of entities that give this kind of authorization? This is the first question. The second question is related to the timing. How long typically it takes the process from which you submit a project to the regulator and you obtain the final approval to go ahead with the project?
There are many regulators in Mexico, some for the environment, and they are specialists. Then we have some for the downstream. They are also specialists. I used to be in a commission for the downstream as well. And this is a new creation only for exploration and production projects. The purpose is that before, in the past, Pemex was a self-regulated company. And they decided which technologies they were going to use, which procedures, which risk analysis, and so on. Now, with the methodologies, more or less, that I showed very quickly today, we go through a process for new projects that can take very few months. I mean, it takes, if we work together with them, especially in the front-end loading process, it can take only the same time that it takes Pemex itself to take a decision. So it shouldn't be much longer unless we find that there's a challenge that they are not taking care of. And then the process then can go much longer. Especially we find that the rate of recovery is very low. That's probably one of the first priorities that we have, the rate of recovery. Now, the second question was about, yes, so I think I have already answered. Yes, it's a month, because we have not established a period, because now we are reviewing 70 years of oil production. So imagine the number of projects that we have in front of us, because this transition from a special regime of self-regulation not goes in the hands of the nation through the government. So I'm not so comfortable yet with giving dates, but the idea is that we are under very strong pressure. Some of these small projects we have to evaluate in 3 weeks. It's a real challenge.
Good afternoon. My name is Michaela Pfeiffer, and I'm from the World Health Organization in Geneva. And I just had a question related to the timing as to whether or not there is a disclosure requirement. Do you have a requirement concerning the public disclosure of the information about the projects? And if yes, how does that affect the approval process?
Yes, it is, well, as that's a big thing. You see, all this transparency is probably the most, the big winner, because now everybody can consult every single number. Now, it's, there's a law that imposes not only the disclosure of the documents, but also imposes that we organize a specific web pages and make the publicity so that everybody gets access to all the information. There's always going to be some confidential informations according to the disclosure of confidentiality documents. There's going to be price and probably some patent technologies that will remain secretive for a little while. But we have not reached the level as, for example, Canada, where they have very good disclosure. We don't pretend to be so quick in that, but that's the change that is happening.
C'è qualche altra domanda, signori? Allora la faccio io, se nel frattempo qualcuno ci pensa. La faccio in italiano, visto che tanto capisce. Ricordiamoci che il Messico è stato, il Venezuela sono i paesi storicamente dove il petrolio è stato prodotto prima, anche perché erano vicini agli Stati Uniti, ma dove il sociale, l'aspetto sociale del petrolio, quasi rivoluzionario se mi consente, è stato più importante, fino anche ai nostri giorni, come vediamo anche in Venezuela. Perciò è importante. Il grande esperto di storia del petrolio mi insegna, oltre che Diderot scriveva di petrolio, ma mi insegna anche che è stato il primo al mondo a nazionalizzare il Messico o il Venezuela, scusa? Messico. La produzione è passata da 300.000 barili al giorno negli anni 60 agli attuali 3 milioni e speriamo che continui a crescere perché, scusate, speriamo, sembra un po' brutto, perché va a compensare la produzione che dovrebbe venire dall'OPEC, dal Medio Oriente, che è un po' instabile come area. Ecco, però io avevo una domanda per la rappresentante della Pemex, vorrei riferirmi al pozzo Ixtoc 1, che fino a poco tempo fa è stato l'incidente petrolifero più grave al mondo, dove un pozzo da 20.000 barili al giorno è stato nel fondo del mare a una profondità poco profonda allora, però era il massimo, è stato aperto per circa 9 mesi, con un fuoriuscita di petrolio di quasi 5 milioni di barili, qualcosa del genere. Ecco, se ci può dire qualcosa a proposito di quell'incidente, ad oltre 30 anni di distanza, che cosa è rimasto, se è stato risolto, se c'è ancora dell'inquinamento da quel bruttissimo incidente? Grazie.